trip, turn that bitch up.
All
Well,
right.
hello, everyone. Welcome
Hi.
back to our health podcast. This is your host, Monte. And today I'm here with my lovely guest, DT.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Yes. So, um, the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to give you your flowers as an artist because for those of you who don't know, he's an artist and a dancer.
Thank you.
But I've watched a lot of his performances, and one thing I can say is that when he goes on stage, he gives you all that he's got, like
Thank
every
you.
single time. And for those of you who also don't know, we also met each other on Inclusify.
Yes, yes.
Make sure y'all stream that on YouTube. But
Hello.
when I saw his performance, when I tell y'all, my mouth immediately dropped. Like the energy was there, everything was there. So that's just something that I always just really admired about you, really, as an artist, is that you're not afraid to be yourself, but you're not afraid to come with all of the energy.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I really do.
Absolutely. So the first thing I wanted to start off with was really getting to know who you are. So tell everybody who DT is.
All right. So, DT, I am born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland,
Mhm.
DMV. You already know. I
Mhm.
am primarily a dancer. So, I started with dance, but then I actually transitioned into music and more spoken writing around high school. So, right as I was transitioning out of high school, I got really into poetry, and that shape shifted itself into writing songs and wanting to
Mhm.
try those out in more live performance settings. So yeah, I definitely started making music, I want to say around 2019. That was
Okay.
like my senior year of high school. Took myself to the
Mhm.
studio as a birthday gift for myself for 18th birthday.
Mhm.
And yeah, just went to play around, tried to see what we could make and how it would come out. And that was my first song, Starlight,
Mhm.
which, oof, yes, what a throwback. But yeah, I definitely have been trying out different things musically and also dance wise over the last few years. So I'm trying to
Mhm.
find ways to mesh the two mediums. As you say, like my live performances tend to be a little bit more engaging and full body because really try to mesh the dance and music worlds together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just really interested in seeing how to take up this hip hop R&B space as a queer
Mhm.
black male. And trying to give us a different voice, a different perspective.
Yes.
What we like.
Yes.
Yes.
So I really want to talk about this. So how is it from your experience being not only a queer artist but also a queer dancer?
Yes. So it's been interesting. I mean, obviously, there's the tell all tale of like people always think that you're queer because you simply dance. So before I actually kind of defined that for myself, I was already like having that put upon me, being like, oh,
Mhm.
you do ballet, so you must be gay, or like you're on your
Mhm.
toes all day, so you want to be like a girl. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, no, I just actually enjoy moving my body, and it's actually a very
Exactly.
natural thing for me to do. But
Mhm.
then as I started to get older and as I started to like understand gender roles and societal norms and then also like what my personal desires were as a human being, I could see like, okay, yeah, they might be saying this, but also it might be kind of true. Like I might actually do kind of like switching my hips a little bit more than what
Mhm.
they say is acceptable for the man, or like I
Mhm.
actually don't mind being on my toes and twirling around.
Mhm.
It's actually quite fun. So yes.
Mhm.
So just as I grew older, it became a lot easier to navigate. But then also growing from being like, okay, well, I'm being bullied for being gay, or I'm being
Mhm.
bullied for being too feminine, or I'm being bullied for being too joyous and outwardly like
Yeah.
gleeful. Versus then as I got older, especially being a ballet dancer specifically for most of my
Yeah.
career, I
Mhm.
was put into this box of you have to be hyper masculine or you have to
Yeah.
be very picturesque for whatever the female is then doing. So it went from being
Mhm.
again these gender roles and societal norms to then like, all right, you can be who you are, but also on stage, we need you to pretend to be this prince, or we need you to act like this,
Mhm.
this high masculine man, so that the audience is perceiving this male female relationship as it
Mhm.
should be.
Yeah.
So even within the space of dance, there are still like stereotypes and roles that we have to play,
Yeah.
which brings in the acting elements of it, brings in the storytelling of it. So it can be fun. It's not all like, oh, I have to do this, but
Mhm.
just learning as a dancer how to maneuver the different parts of us as human beings, and then being blank canvases for choreographers and creative directors to come and set works on.
Yeah.
So just balancing that mesh, and then obviously me being an artist as well. How can I also keep what's true to me in the forefront as a performing artist while I'm also in the back dancing for maybe somebody else as a performing artist, or maybe I'm on an ensemble work. So just keeping that individuality while also being a part of a group.
Mhm.
So in general, dance
Mhm.
and queerness just really ties together, I feel like, with personality, individuality, and identity, because it
Mhm.
forms how you move, what spaces you feel safe in, and then
Mhm.
also what opportunities you're able to put yourself out there for. Just simply
Mhm.
based on like what you perceive yourself as and how you perceive your career.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because like you said before, like it's lots of different elements to being an artist and a dancer, but the most important thing is it's really not just about the fact that you can dance or you can sing, but you
Yes.
also have to embody these different perspectives as well. So with your process, like how do you prepare whenever you're going on stage or whenever you're dancing?
I am obsessive a little bit. I just rehearse a bunch.
Mhm.
I'm the type to be like, okay, I have 5 minutes right now. Let me listen to my set music and like just practice in my head. Or if I
Mhm.
have, some extra time throughout the house, I'm like, okay, well, let me practice my dance moves real quick. Let me grab my little mic unplugged and see what
Yeah.
it feels like to hold the microphone and do the choreography. Well, that's with music. When it comes with like more dance stuff, I typically try to just like embody the moves as much as possible. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking to myself, where am I supposed to feel this motion? What is the story
Mhm.
telling me? Similarly to how I listen to my music for musical performances, for dance performances, I'll put my headphones in and really zone into like the different layers of the beats, the
Mhm.
syncopations, trying to find all the
Mhm.
textures that are in the movement to convey
Mhm.
possibly. So I really just spend a lot of time introspectively working on
Mhm.
things. Like I'll listen to music, I'm visualizing, and
Mhm.
then externally doing a lot of full body, just working it out. Like, okay, I got to do it full out because I need to know how
Mhm.
the breath is going to work. I need to know how the move is going to work, the transitions. So mental preparation and focus, and then physical commitment.
Mm. Yeah. And one thing I do want to ask, because I think so, I've tried to be a dancer
Uh-huh.
throughout my days, but I definitely like realized when I try to learn how to dance, I'm still gonna try to get back into it.
Okay.
But when I tried to learn how to dance, one thing I noticed was that I had to trust my body before anything.
Yes.
So how were you able, like, from the beginning of you dancing, how were you able to, like, trust your body? Because it's first of all, when you're learning choreography, it's very, very fast.
It
And
can
so
be, yes.
having to, like, catch on to a lot, but then when you're also, like, trying out the movements, it's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, shit." Like, sometimes you're getting so stuck in your head to where it's like, "Okay, do I go this?
Yes.
Do I go that way?" So how do you, like, I guess, fully, like, really allow yourself, like, is it like a training thing, or is it more so like it's just natural the more that you do it?
So I will definitely say, with me having started dance at such a younger age, I started dance when I was like 5 years old. So
Mhm,
it was a lot easier to throw my body into things. Like I might
mhm,
not have known what the hell I was doing, how it was supposed to look, but I was definitely
mhm,
like, okay, that looks fun. Let me try it. And
mhm.
as I've gotten older and obviously have gotten injured plenty of times, I've calmed down with how much I'm just really ready to throw my body into things. But
Mhm.
I would say that that's a part of learning, is just
Yeah.
like giving it your all. Like I was saying earlier, I have to fully commit to the movement when I'm practicing in order to understand what it feels like on stage.
Mhm,
So even when I'm starting to learn movements, and I'm in audition spaces constantly, and we're
mhm,
picking up phrases really quickly, I have to throw myself into the movement without thinking too much. Like obviously, I have to think, okay,
mhm,
how to be safe? How do I do this for my body? But me personally, get stuck in my head a lot. So if I see something and I'm like, I can't do that, or that's too daunting, or that might be too much work.
Mm.
I'm less inclined to try. So I
Mm.
have to beat myself to the punch and just do it first. And then I'm like, okay, well,
Mm.
that didn't look exactly how I wanted to look, but I can fix this or I can work on that. And so a lot of it for me is just throwing myself out there. And I've learned this through time. Like it's a skill to take risk and take leaps physically. And
Yeah.
I'm actually learning the opposite. I'm learning how to take risk in my life just internally and like with faith right
Yeah.
now. So it's funny that as a child, I was like, let's go, let's just throw ourselves out there. And now as an
Mhm.
adult, I'm like, let's look over the let's check the
Yeah.
temperature first. Let's look over the edge before we leap. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to balance those two of like being super daring and then also being cautious. And I feel like that's what the journey of a dancer is like how can I put myself out there to learn more, but also not injure my body in the process, or at least not injure it to a point where I can no longer, do what I want to do. So I definitely feel like with learning material and learning steps, it all starts with how willing you are to, I don't want to say fail, but just not be good at the first times. Like the first few times with any art or with anything in life, you might not be good the first few times, but you can still learn and you can still
Yeah.
get better. It just depends on how willing you are to get through those first few patches.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the beauty of it as well. Is like I've fallen so many times trying to do flips or turns and jumps, but
Mhm.
then I got back up and was able to ace it, whether it was the next time, a few years later, or am I still working on it and hopefully we'll work towards it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I feel like a lot of people don't realize, like, even when you're starting something new, it really is okay to fail because failure,
Um,
you have to be able, failure is going to teach you so many things. Like,
it
there's so many
is.
things I've tried and I failed in, but it taught me so much. So sometimes, like, when you're trying out stuff, it's really not all about the actual thing, it's all about what
Yes.
you gain from it. So I think that's a really great thing that you really talked about.
Cute.
um, what was one of the most challenging experiences that uh, made you kind of feel like you wanted to quit dance or quit being an artist?
Uh I mean, there were quite a few
Mhm.
injuries, like I was saying before, when I was younger,
Yeah,
especially like in middle school or high school when I was still developing my body. It
yeah,
was kind of like, oh my gosh, I had this back injury with a slip disc, or I sprained my shoulder, or I, you know, sprained my ankle. There were a bunch of injuries just as I was growing that felt
yeah.
very life or death. Like, oh my gosh, my body's never going to recover. But for me, actually, more recently, my mom actually passed away in
Mhm.
2022,
I'm so sorry
and
about
that
that.
was thank you, I appreciate that. At the time, I was actually on a contract in Arizona for a
Mhm,
ballet company, which was something that I had wanted to do my whole life as a young dancer. I was like, yes,
mhm,
this is bucket list material. I can finally say like I'm a professional ballet dancer. I'm hired, paid weekly. So I
mhm,
was there for about 6 months, and I got the call like December, first week of December, that she wasn't doing too well. So I came home. And
mhm,
then around February is when she actually passed away. And
mhm,
that was really hard because my mom was my biggest support. Like she was the person paying for my dance classes, going with me to my dance fittings, like driving me to and fro shows, or like taking the train with me, the buses with me, making sure I'm getting to these places that I need to be. So it was just like my ride or die, my support, my best friend,
mhm,
everything. So I didn't really imagine continuing on without that type of support. And
mhm,
it did take, I will say, like a few months of just kind of being in like a gray space of like,
mhm,
I don't know what direction my life is going to go now. Like, and it's kind of
mhm.
interesting because when you feel like you've had your hand held and you're
Yeah,
being led the whole way, when you don't have that hand anymore, it's like, okay, well, where do I go?
yeah.
Um, so I felt just lost for a bit. But in that, I made my project three-piece special, which
Mhm,
didn't even start as like a project really. I was just kind of making songs to distract myself at the moment.
mhm,
So while all of those songs are more like braggadocious, up tempo, I'm feeling
mhm,
myself, I'm out at the club type vibe. I was not feeling that at all. I was actually trying to conjure that through writing
mhm,
music, and through just like making art.
mhm,
So the three-piece special came to be just simply off of like rediscovering a healing mechanism, or even rediscovering a way to detach from what I was going through at that time. But I would
mhm,
definitely say like that moment was one that put a big pause on like my artistry altogether. I was like, I don't want to
mhm,
dance. I don't want to make music. I don't want to like if she's not going to
mhm,
be here, what's the point? And I know a lot of people feel the same way. So as I
mhm,
began to write more music after that period, I wrote the three pre special, was able to put that out. work through my emotions by working through music videos, working through dance combinations, working through the verses and like working through these lyrics. Um, Putting that out was a nice relief. And especially I have a lot of bars in the song that then relate to my mom and like the
Mm,
grind and work that we put in together to then get me to where I was. And
mm,
then after that project, I was able to write an actual song, you know, paying tribute to my mother. So luckily, I wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to give up and this is not, you know,
yeah,
this is not going to work out for me anymore because I was able to turn. And I don't think that everybody should have to do this. And I
yeah,
don't think it's something we should continue to glorify.
mm,
But I personally was able to turn my pain and trauma into something beautiful. And
mm,
like that was a choice of mine that I took upon myself and really wanted to do. But I don't think that
mm,
like anybody who's experiencing this type of loss or grief is able to do right away or is even
yeah,
able to do at some point.
yeah,
So again, I'm glad that I was able to pull myself up and I had a lot of great friends around me,
yeah,
support systems, people who understood and like would give me the space to be like, okay, you know, you don't need to be an artist. You actually need to be a human being.
yeah,
You need to live and focus on this experience that you're going through.
yeah,
And so I think sometimes when we have those hard moments and we try to tell ourselves like, oh, okay, we just have to create the art in spite of, or we have to do this in spite of, it can be a bit toxic for lack of a better word, or at least a little bit damning to our future
yeah,
relationships with ourselves because then
mm,
we have all of this pain that we just like let build up. And
yeah,
instead of portioning it out and healing while we're going through it, we're like,
yeah,
okay, well, this is this art piece and like here's this work and look at this and like that
yeah,
becomes such a backward sliding thing because I can make an
yeah,
art piece about my mom, but then I'm
yeah,
showing it to people and they might not like it. So now I'm like, oh my God, my art that
mm,
I made for this person that I care about isn't good enough. And now I feel heavily impacted. Now I'm backsliding. Am I not a good artist? Was this not what I should have done? Should I have stopped in the first place? So allowing myself time to heal was really important. But
mm,
recognizing that also a part of my healing is being creative. And so
yeah,
without those two things, I wouldn't have made it through that particularly hard time in my life. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I definitely understand that. And I think that's so beautiful that um everything that you experienced, you were able to even create the art to be able to do that. Um, I look at it really in a different way when you're creating art from your pain because I look at it as alchemy. So for those
Mm,
who don't know what alchemy is basically turning something into something else. So for
right.
instance, it could be water turning into steam. So when you
Hmm.
turn water into steam, the steam can no longer turn back into water, right?
Right.
So but at that to be that that's always been one of the biggest struggles as well is that okay, I'm creating this from pain, but how do I try to heal from it, but I don't know, I guess sometimes it really comes really from, like, honesty and how willing you
Mm.
are to look at the entire perspective and not run
This
away
is
from the
true.
entire perspective. Um, so yeah.
I
Um,
also offer, I think, for me, I'm learning to put it in the art and then release.
yeah.
Like, yes, I have to perform the songs and do the dances over and over again. So it does still have that emotionally charged intention. However, I'm
Yeah.
able to come back to it a little differently because
Mhm.
I have a different space or I might be in a different mentality than I was when I initially made the piece or wrote the song or
Mhm.
whatever it is the case is. So I do
Yeah.
find like it is alchemy in the sense that it does change the space. Like I feel like from I can move from being in a space of anger and resentment to being in a space of detachment through my art and still be angry, but not have to be like actively holding on to whatever the situation or whoever made me that
Yeah.
way, but still capture the essence of what that means to be, how it looks, how it feels.
Yeah.
And then in turn not go back to the original anger because I've
Mm.
already processed it in a sense through making the art or putting the art out. And I think, yeah, that just releasing it afterwards, being like, okay, this is how I felt. Like I
Yeah.
can write a song today about how somebody like stepped on my toe. This is a random
Yeah.
statement. I can write a song today about somebody stepped on my toe, fucked up
Uh-huh.
my shoes, excuse my French, messed up my shoes. And then
Mhm.
I'll be like, okay, that happened. The song is a bop. I'm gonna keep singing this song
Mhm.
about how this person stepped on my toe and I hated it, but I don't really care about the toe anymore. Like I'm honestly, it's a month
Yeah.
past now. The song is still a bop, but like it's funny now. He stepped on my toe. So it's
Yeah.
like kind of that's how I view art is like once it's out there, it takes on such a different
Yeah.
concept because it's no longer yours. Like I feel like
Yeah.
once we put art out into the universe, it's ours in a sense of like we channeled through ourselves this thing, but now it's become someone else's to interpret, to be inspired by, to take
Mhm.
inspiration from, whatever the case is.
Mhm.
So it just feels so much bigger than like a singular moment. I feel like art tells a
Yeah.
story, and then the way that they connect is just how much we release into the next portion of our story.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. And then, like, how do you, because sometimes the most scariest thing is making something and
Yes.
then putting it out. And sometimes you can
Yes.
be self-conscious about your own work. So, like, how do you navigate from making it to putting it out? And it's like
It's a
what pushes you?
process.
Yeah.
It is a process. I feel like I usually take a slower, methodical method, or at
Mhm.
least slower than I used to in the past. I would go to the studio, record the song, and then be like, "It needs to drop tomorrow." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Whoa, yeah, that does not sound like it needs to drop tomorrow." Actually,
Mhm.
so as I learned, especially with shooting music videos, I think that was the biggest teacher for me and patience. Was just like you have days where you plan your shoots or you'll plan out these things and then the day just doesn't go as planned. So then you have to adjust, you have to like make these minute but also sometimes necessary changes to the vision for you to get what you need to get.
Yeah.
So I've learned that it's always about when it tells me it's done. Like it sounds
Mhm.
stupid and it sounds kind of cliche of like, oh, the art will speak to me when it's done, but as somebody who is a perfectionist, I will
Mhm.
continuously change a step. I will continuously change a line. I will continuously change a rhythm, a bar. I will be like, hey, this little weird thing in the back of the production isn't working for me anymore. Like that's how my brain works. So I've had to release some of that stress by being like, this feels like it's done.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I have anything else to say. Or this move actually looks beautiful on me. I'm gonna leave it. So just some people might say it's settling. For me, it's accepting or meeting myself where I am.
Mhm.
Because I do understand that there is a tendency for artists, especially, to be so hard on themselves and to want to draw the perfect line, the perfect circle, or have the perfect rift, or have the perfect
Mhm.
pirouette, or whatever the case is. But
Mhm.
all of that is just so subjective. So when you start to get into it on a personal level of like, oh, okay, what is the perfect thing for me? It's
Mhm.
just gonna have to be when it shows itself. Like I'm not gonna be able to predict when my project will be done when I start it. I
Mhm.
know when I record a song, how I feel about it afterwards, and that tells
Mhm.
me if I need to go back and re-record it, or that tells me if I can move forward with the next song.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a process of listening and
Mhm.
really being attuned into what the vision is while also being flexible to what the
Mhm.
vision can be.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the main thing for me during the process of creating to then putting out is how much patience am I giving myself and how much
Mhm.
am I really listening to what I'm telling? Because yes, there's the rollout of like, okay, I would want to put out this on this month, or I would want to release this on this day and have people do this. But there's also like realistically, is it ready? Is it,
Mhm.
is it something that you feel like you can present proudly? Even if it's not all of that, is
Yeah.
it speaking for what you want it to speak for? Because I might not feel like the art is ready. There have been plenty of times I've put out some stuff and I've been like, we could have reshot that, we could have redid that, or we could have re-edited that, or I couldn't have not said that. But it got the message across. It got the point across
Mhm.
of what I was trying to convey, whether it was on the nose or not. It still got
Mhm.
what I needed to get through. So learning that like art isn't supposed to be always very specific and like
Mhm.
it can be abstract, it can be on your own time. We have artists like Frank Ocean who don't drop for like 5, 6 years
Mhm.
at a time. Let
Yep.
people live their life, let people do them a
Mhm.
little bit. But then we do have artists who drop sometimes 2 projects a year, like a Sabrina Carpenter.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
just all depends. Different
Mhm.
people have different flows.
Yeah.
And I think that learning your flow, like for
Mhm.
me, it's listening,
Mhm.
patience. Some people it might be cranking it out and then picking the best ones. Some
Mhm.
people it might just be not doing nothing for a few years and then coming back to it when they feel like they're ready.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that like knowing your process is what's going to be the most efficient way to get from that start to then putting out phase and then
Mhm.
confidence. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we all can create art. Like everybody can make a painting, Everybody can write a poem. Hell, everybody can hit a little two-step. It's the
Mhm.
bravery to do it in front of people, to show
Yeah.
that you can do this. That also puts the next step into being an artist or being a creative or just
Mhm.
doing art and creative things. Not everybody does it in front of people. So that makes it a lot harder to take that next step from, okay, I've made the song. I might want to put it on SoundCloud, but like, do I really? Or I have this dance, I filmed the TikTok for Liberian Girl. Do I want to
Mhm.
put it out or do I want to just like keep it? So just taking that next step as well. So having your process, but then also having the courage. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also, like, when you do release it, like, having the courage to fully let it go, like, um,
Yes. Because I'd be on social media like, did somebody
mhm,
like it? It's been
yeah,
30 seconds. Did they
yeah,
comment? You
and I'm
know,
I'm steady doing that when I'm putting out something, but I just had to learn to, like, really, like, put it out, step
and
away
then
from,
let it go. Yeah.
like, really let it go, 'cause, like I said, a lot of people have a hard time doing that because you're scared. You don't know what people are gonna say. You
Yes.
don't know anything. You don't know which way it's gonna go. It might be viral or it might not be viral. But um, the next thing I really wanted to talk about is taking care of yourself because a
Okay.
lot of times you have a lot of artists and a lot of dancers who are so much on go, 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 go mode all the
Yes.
time. And then you forget to really take care of yourself, which is not a good thing because it's going to be a
Uh-huh.
situation where you're going to be forced to sit your ass down. Excuse my language.
hmm
But how do you how do you take care of DT?
Honestly, it looks a lot different in the last 2 months than it has before. I've been really focused on just intentionality. So, like, spending time journaling is part of my self care now. It's like I have to spend at least 30 to 40 minutes with myself, just writing to kind of understand where I am each day. Um, and then just also making time for like more art. So, finding ways to be creative that don't exhaust my pockets, that don't exhaust me financially, time wise, like, so giving myself small little treats. I might take 20 minutes to draw a picture that something inspired me. I might take time to turn my phone off and listen to an album that I really love to fuel my soul. Like, I'm really working on being intentional this year and just in this next era of my life and in artistry. So taking care of myself looks like maybe not seeing my friends as much, but definitely seeing myself more, like taking a bath, going to go grocery shopping when I need to go grocery shopping and not pushing it off, doing
Yes.
laundry. Like, it sounds very small, but all of those intentional things of just like making
Yes.
sure that if I have a goal or if I'm saying I want to do something or my spirit is telling me this is what I need to be doing, I'm
Mhm.
allowing that to be honored, instead of like pushing it to the side and being like, well, I can wait till later to do my laundry or I can wait till later to like come home and treat myself to my self time. No, I can't
Mhm.
actually. My
Yeah.
self time is quite important now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
working on just cultivating time for myself has been the biggest shift. And then through that, I've been able to adjust any other patterns that I felt like were unnecessary. Like I was, reading books that were not really helpful. I was just reading books to be like, I'm reading a book. Now I'm actually reading
Mhm.
books that are like working towards helping me expand my mind, but also expand my
Mhm.
concepts of like what creativity could be, humanism, just like giving people
Mhm.
more grace, love. So yeah, taking care of myself just seems to me like being more intentional. And sometimes it can come across as selfish, but selfishness I think is something we've deemed as like a bad thing
Yeah.
when you can't pour into someone else's cup if you can't pour into your own. So it's
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
I can't give you anything if I'm not selfish for a little bit because then I
Yeah.
don't have anything to give. So
Yeah.
I've been just very focused on self, and that's been very helpful. I'm still
Mm.
obviously engaging with community and always wanted to engage with community,
Yeah.
but recognizing that I can't be an effective community member without being an effective
Mm.
individual. So working on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing that you talked about. Really, because in my eyes, is some people view being selfish as being hard headed, but really being
hmm
hard headed is a good thing because being hard headed means that you trust in yourself before you trust in others.
Hello.
And for me, it's not even about being selfish; it's about being self-full because you really do have to make sure that you are good first before you show up for somebody else.
Yes.
Um, Let me see. I have some other questions too. It was
Oh, sure. No, it's okay.
um. Let me see. I had one that was on the tip of my tongue. Um. What do you want people to know more about DT? that a lot of people may
I
not know?
hmm. I definitely want people to know that I am a performer first. Like that's always one thing that I am putting on the table, triple threat as much as I can be, dance, rap, sing, making the music. I also creative direct a little bit. So, we try to be a jack of all trades, and I want people to experience all of that in totality when they see me live or if they're listening to my music or watching a music video. I
Mhm.
want them to feel that connectiveness through my artworks and through my art worlds. So
Mhm.
I definitely want people to know that like I'm a multidisciplinary artist. You're not just gonna get a little cute bar, you're not gonna get a cute A
Mhm.
step, you're gonna get everything. And then also just realizing that like I am still growing. I'm 24 years old, so I am
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
still learning and developing as each day goes on. And
Mhm.
so my art might learn and develop and might grow and develop in ways. So for anybody who's new and might be looking at my old projects and being like, wow, like he was a lot more R&B in his earlier days and now he's a little bit more like hip hop trapped out. I might change again. So just be
Mhm.
ready. My art is constantly developing as life is constantly developing. My needs for expression are always constantly developing. So for anybody who is, a DT fan or a DT supporter, definitely just, know that we're in here. We're locked in for
Mhm.
great performances. We're locked in for creative exploration and we are a community, so I want people to feel like they're a part of a community. I'm not just making music to then be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get rich and then just like go buy myself a house. That's cute, and I might do that, but I also will pour back into my community because that's where I come from, that's where I got
Yeah.
my start, and that's who helped me get to where I am today. So definitely, we're a little community. I do not have a fan base name, so if
Yeah.
anybody wants to throw one out there, let us know. I'm definitely open to suggestions. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it though. I am young and out here trying to get it.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
we
Yes.
will. And we
Yes.
will. Mm.
Yes. Absolutely. And then before we leave, because it's gonna be the last question,
Ooh, okay.
but what is one thing you can give advice to the viewers on anything that they want to do in life? What is the best advice you can be able to give them?
Mm. Be delusional, just slightly, not overly, because you got to do. There is a little bit of realism that has to happen, but be
Mhm.
delusional. I constantly tell myself all the time, I'm like, I'm gonna get this job. This is my job. This is my gig. I might walk out the audition room without the job. I had it when I walked in, like just be delusional to the point where you're willing to put yourself out there for things. Like the delusion is supposed to be bravery, it's supposed to be courage, it's supposed to be, curiosity. So
Mhm.
those things I would say lean into more. Fear, I'm learning, is the biggest jail. Like it's just the biggest jail. And we
Yeah.
all look very comfortable in that fear cell that we are
Mhm.
in. So take a leap and be like, hey, I don't know if I want to be a professional dancer, but I do want to take a dance class. Take it.
Mhm.
I might like to do art, but I don't really know if I'm the best artist. Pick up a sketchbook. Do something. Go to a sculpting class. Like find something to just start and take that leap. And then if you start it and you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm in the midst because sometimes I get into audition season and I'm like, well, it's not really
Mhm.
working for me. Is this the right dream? Keep going. Be
Yeah.
delusional. It's gonna work. It has to work. I've committed this to this. And do the work. Obviously, don't just be like, yeah, I'm gonna be a dancer and then never take a class.
Yeah.
Delusion, but realism. There's
Yeah.
a there's a hand in hand.
It's like going
Um,
to the gym and wanting to be
you
buff.
know, you
Yeah.
can't be like, I'm trying to lose 30 pounds, but then
Mhm.
also not do anything but sit on the couch
Yeah.
because that's not realistic. Not
Yeah.
realistic. We have
Yeah.
to be I would say right now, faith and work. Like you have to put out the faith and then do the work. The universe will kind of meet you in the middle, or God, however your spirituality, religion aligns. Whatever the universal entity you believe in will meet you where you need to meet, but you have to meet them. They're not going to just
Mm.
like stand there and wait for you. It's a
Yeah.
plenty of people on this planet to bless. So you got to take
Yeah.
the blessings when they're coming and then really work for them and hold on to them and cherish them.
Yeah.
So yeah, my advice would be delusional, but with a bit of realism and use faith and work to get where you are or where you would like to be.
Yes. Yes. I like that.
But yes, thank you
Well,
so much, first of all, for this opportunity. Again, I am super glad that you are doing this and have this platform for
yes.
artists like myself to come on and even just like chit chat
Mhm.
with you, but also just get our platforms out there some more, our names and artistry and our stories. So it is very much so
Yes.
appreciated. I do hope that people continue to support you in this podcast and all of your endeavors because you deserve.
Thank
So,
you. Thank
yes,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. And yeah, everybody's stories is important, baby, because we all got
Hello.
some stories to tell. And no matter how big
Yes.
or small Joe ass is
Hello.
any and everything that you're a part of, it always comes with wisdom, and wisdom can always help other people, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, that is it, y'all. I am out. My ass is about to go eat. I love y'all. And it was good talking to y'all. It was nice
Likewise.
having you on this podcast, DT. And
Thank you.
yes, I cannot wait to see more projects coming out. Okay.
Yes, y'all stay tuned. New music will be coming soon, so stay tuned.
All right. Bye, y'all.